Volatility is cyclical. Sticking with core competencies of cost control, financial discipline, animal performance, and the sale of quality products will ensure that in 12 to 18 months, the position of the industry will have moved forward in the right direction.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of The Pig Edge, your Teagasc Pig podcast with me, Emer McCrum, bringing you all of the latest news, information and advice to keep Irish pig farmers up to date. In this episode, we're taking a closer look at recent market trends and what we can expect as we move towards 2026. Joining me to discuss further is Shane Callaghan, Procurement Officer with Rosderra Meats, who will provide an update on current market conditions, an outlook for the year ahead, and an overview of the new pig quality payment system. Shane, can you give us a picture of what the market looks like right now and what's driving those trends?
Yes, no problem. So the total quantity of pig meat exported for January to August 25 was 167,000 tonnes. Based on this period, we are on track to exceed the figure of 225,000 tonnes exported in 2024. This is important to the market as we see self-sufficiency levels in Ireland have risen since 2023. We know the demand for red meat proteins globally continues to grow. The popularity of meat alternatives have underperformed, and Ireland benefits from its reputation as being a producer of safe food. Ireland's pig price currently runs above EU average by roughly 3%. This situation has come about as Ireland has worked hard to ensure its product offering is of high value, where the spec is often the most important and the price comes secondary. This approach has worked and we expect will continue to work and pay dividends to the Irish pig sector. Imports from markets such as China have fallen by almost 14% in terms of volume. Threats and implementation of tariffs have unsettled the natural balance. Sales can be challenging and not always optimal, but as a business, we are already doubling down on our efforts to improve efficiencies to ensure these volume reductions can be offset.
Yes, certainly those market upsets you mentioned, they have been challenging in recent months, but it is encouraging to hear both demand and the Irish brand is strong. And just sticking with markets for the moment, Shane, are there any new export destinations recently opened for Irish pig meat, or are there any emerging markets that you see as promising opportunities for us in the near future?
Our most recent would be expanded markets in the Asia-Pacific countries, such as Malaysia, Vietnam, the Philippines and South Korea. These have all come on board in recent years. Volumes aren't huge in these markets. Some are majority Muslim, but niches do exist, particularly with their Chinese ethnic population. Australia, as I said, is a market of strong interest to us. It's English-speaking. We have strong Irish connections over in Australia, and they have similar tastes and culture around food. We also have Mexico, Canada and Chile available to us. Protecting market access and opening further markets are critically important to us as we put a huge level of resources and effort into working with the different officials in each of these markets.
Okay, so some sizable markets there with strong and growing populations, which is very promising when we think about that longer term demand. And it's great to hear that Irish pig meat continues to build its footprint across the globe, which I suppose speaks to the strength of our reputation for quality and high production standards. Speaking of which, Shane, just to look at Rosderra for the moment, what are the main challenges you're facing as a processor when it comes to selling pigs?
The health of the animal and how it is handled pre-slaughter have a huge impact on the value that can be obtained for a carcass post-slaughter. On the slaughter line, health-challenged pigs require extra attention, trimming, and in some cases, part or total disposal. This costs the industry immensely. As a business, we are delighted to see the improvements made in antibiotic usage on farm level. However, the flip side of this is the increased use of vaccines and the impact this can have on meat quality and its presentation. Slap marking and bruising are the other two I feel are worth mentioning here today. They can impact the returns and how saleable a product is.
That's quite interesting. And look, farmers are always doing their best to keep animals healthy, but it highlights again that beyond welfare and performance on farm, health is a significant factor in market returns too. And just while it is fresh in my head, I recently sat in a workshop with Animal Health Ireland on the Pig Health Check database, and this is a really useful tool for producers just to review their current and historic abattoir data. The ante-mortem data is available for every producer at the moment, and the post-mortem inspection data is currently in development, but due to be added to the database shortly. I suppose that ties in quite well with the new pig quality payment system we're hearing about that is set to go live next month. Can you tell us, Shane, why this new system was introduced and maybe what it aims to achieve for the sector?
So firstly, I would like to state that it's not a new system of grading and paying of pigs for Rosderra. Every pig, without fail, has been graded on weight and lean meat since its establishment in 2005. Can I honestly sit here and say that it has always been reflected in the price returned to the producer for that pig? No. And we can argue back and forth whether that was the correct decision for the sector. But the pigs were never not graded. Some suppliers have continually been on a graded structure, and they have been rewarded accordingly in the returns they receive for their factory pigs. The extension of this grading structure out to all Rosderra suppliers comes on the back of a business decision made to proactively shape the raw material within our supply chain instead of simply reacting to it as we currently do. We expect that for Rosderra it will give us more uniformity in our products, reduced waste and higher market returns. And for our suppliers, a farm gate price which is more reflected of the value-added markets we serve, not that of high-volume commodity markets.
Okay, so the change really is in the extension of the system to all suppliers. But as producers get familiar with the new pricing structure, can you talk us through the key requirements in terms of the type of pig Rosderra is aiming to source?
Yes, its structure I feel is broad, in keeping with the increases in weights in Irish pig farms. It incentivises suppliers who produce and sell pigs that are suitable for markets we sell into, and this is exactly how I feel it should be done.
And from a producer's perspective, what advice would you give, particularly in the short term, as they transition and work towards selling pigs that meet the updated requirements?
Well, it's like removing a stone from a shoe. A small change can yield a huge benefit. I would suggest that that suppliers would speak with Rosderra directly. We can talk you through the structure, explain where we are, where they are currently, and see what changes are needed, if any, in order to maximise their returns.
Okay, so the advice then really is to speak to Rosderra to establish what the system means for each individual farm. But Shane, will there be any tools, reports or information available to support producers through this change and to understand how their pigs are performing under the new grading system once it is live?
Yes, Rosderra fortunately was one of the early adopters of an internet-based remittance portal. The program allows our suppliers to view their returns electronically via the internet. So through this program, grade summary reports can be run to establish how a recent load performed on the grading structure. This, I feel, will be even more invaluable in the future and is something that suppliers should continually check in on.
Perfect. So no real change in terms of how that information is given to the farmers. It's all through the portal, the existing portal.
Existing portal there. The information has always been there. It's been updated to the new structure, new pricing and grading structure, but it's all there available through the portal.
What is your outlook for the pig sector over the next 12 to 18 months? Are there any signs of stability or volatility even that producers should be aware of?
Well, every single market and product will have volatility in how it is priced and how much it is sought after. I think the important thing for the Irish pig sector at the moment is not to become complacent. Just because we've had recent good returns, that doesn't mean we don't need to change the model or approach. We need to be continually changing, or we run the risk of falling behind, or worse again, falling off as a competitive industry. Volatility is cyclical. Sticking with core competencies of cost control, financial discipline, animal performance, and the sale of quality products will ensure that in 12 to 18 months, the position of the industry will have moved forward in the right direction.
Okay, so the usual advice applies on farm in the face of volatility, but all while strengthening the industry in the longer term. And just to look at Rosderra for a moment, are there any upcoming innovations or investments planned for the plant that could alter processing capacity or operational efficiency?
Well, slaughter plants continually require investment and upgrading, no different from a pig farm in order to maintain their efficiencies. Energy and renewables we see as an area of investment in the future. Solar is an area we are already invested in, but biogas will certainly be given a more detailed look in the coming years. Any project that reduces our exposure to the energy market and leaves us greener as a business, we feel is important.
So sustainability then really at the core of future innovations. And finally, Shane, just looking ahead at the longer term market situation, do you expect any changes in evolving market demands or buyer specifications in the next 3 to 5 years?
Growth based on volume alone will be difficult. We would like to see more value-added products being developed using Irish pork. Increasing the consumption of Irish pork products on the home market remains very important. We see an expectation from buyers for continued progress in quality assurance standards and emission reduction targets. But whatever the demand might be, presenting your product in the best version you can will serve your business best over the coming years.
Perfect, Shane. That's really interesting. Thank you so much for all of that.
You're welcome, Emer. No problem.
That's it for this episode of The Pig Edge, and a huge thanks to Shane for joining me on the show. Don't forget to listen and follow on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts to make sure you never miss an episode. I'm Emer McCrum, and thanks for listening.